Hello, everybody. Welcome to Kevin Plays Disc Golf. Today we have a playthrough of the first 9 holes of Westy Acres in Greenfield, Massachusetts. My name is Kevin, and I play disc golf. Filming on course for this video was done on August 4th, 2025. The course originally opened in 2017 and was ranked number 94 in the world in 2025 by UDisc. This video is going to be a little different as this is a playthrough of the first 9 holes of the 27-hole course. I played from the blue tees and there has been more editing required than expected due to my attempt to cover all 5 different course configurations for what at the time was all 27 holes. The gold layout was added in the spring of 2025, and my attempt will be to make a playthrough that is useful for all 5 configurations. This playthrough covers holes 1 through 8, as well as hole A, which is between holes 7 and 8. My intent is to make 2 full-length videos, one for the 27-hole layout, and an abbreviated version for the Championship 18 layout, which is more frequently played than the full 27. My full intro and review will be on both of those. Think of this video as a teaser as what is to come. Subscribe to Kevin Plays Disc Golf and click on the notification bell so that you know when the full playthrough videos are out. According to UDisc, Westy Acres is in the process of adding yet another 9 holes to make this a full 36-hole course, as well as an additional 9-hole purple layout. Golly gee whiz, I guess I'm going to have to go back in 2026 to film the new holes. Twist my rubber arm to get me to go play there again. Just a couple of brief notes on playing at Westy Acres. You do need to sign up in advance to play there at westy.org/westyacres, link in the description. There is a $5 fee to play that can be either paid in advance or at the kiosk at the start of the round. Now we'll go to the parking lot to see what this course is about.
Here we are at the main parking lot to Westy Acres. One thing you'll notice is that if you have made it this far, that yes, the road going in really is that narrow and does end up going somewhere. So we can spin around and we end up in the parking lot. And in this open field here, we have hole J that is there. We have a couple of practice baskets. We have a stage that looks like a staging area for the course. There is a porta potty on the opposite side of the parking lot from the building. I'll have all the details on this, but one thing to note is we do need to register to play this course online at westyacres.com. On the side of the stage area, this is sort of the main start area. It has a full map of the entire course. The small white box in the lower left is the box where you can drop your cash. It is $5 to play here. There's also a lost and found box there. And this is where all of that stuff ends up going. The stage has a couple picnic tables out on it. This looks like a pretty well set up area for all the tournaments that they do here or other events. And to get from here to the tee of hole 1, the tee for hole 1 is in the middle of this field. Now I'm going to be playing the blue layout today. So I have taken a look at the course configuration options, and there are a couple places where I think the gold is going to be a bit much for me. So blue is as long as I feel comfortable playing. And here we are at the first tee. It is nice that they have all of the tees marked with colors, and in this case the blue tee and the gold tee share the same tee box. Hole 1 on the blue course is a 361-foot par 3. It is more or less straight ahead. However, the fairway goes to the left and the hole goes back to the right. The red basket, which is what all of the tees play to on this hole except for the gold tees, through the gap just on the right edge of it, there's a cluster of 3 trees off in the woods. The basket is directly behind that cluster of 3 trees. It's off the right edge of the leftmost tree, marking the entrance to the fairway. The gold basket is significantly further right and behind, and actually requires probably a different gap to get to the basket. It's going to end up right of where I want to be, but I think I have a clear shot at the basket from there. One other thing to note is the tee pads appear to have been repurposed football field AstroTurf, as you can sort of see the yard markers. I think this is maybe from the 20 or 30 yard lines. Here we are just to the right of the red tee, and from here we can see the red basket from here. The purple tee is just ahead and to the right of here. My shot landed just in front of the purple tee, so I can take a walk over here. And here we have the purple tee for hole 1. We're about 30 feet in front of the purple tee. My shot is in the brush just to the right of here, so we'll see if I can get it close and start the round off with a par. I had trees in the way, but that's not terrible. I've got about a 20-foot putt for par from here, so we'll take a look at that. But if we look to our right, back in the cluster of trees there is the gold basket for hole 1. That's going to be real tough to get to. It's very much surrounded by trees and definitely a challenging basket location. Snuck that in for par, hooray. To get from the red basket of hole 1 to the tee for hole 2, if we look at the bottom of the basket, we can see there is both a red and a black arrow there pointing off to our right. So if we turn to our right and look in the direction of the gold basket, there is a nice little path here. And off in the distance, we can see a bench. And if we take a look, there's the gold basket. You can see very heavily surrounded by trees. That's going to be a tough putt. So there are a couple of tee options here again. If we go straight ahead, this is the gold and blue tees for hole 2. Hole 2 from the blue and gold tees is a 238-foot par 3. There is only one basket. We cannot see the basket from the tee, but it is significantly downhill. There's a creek behind the basket that is out of bounds, and we'll give a little bit better shot of exactly what the basket looks like shortly. But the idea is to go through this gully, have the disc move right to left, and once we get past this clump of trees and start to go downhill, then the world opens up in front of us. And that is way right in the woods. And here we have a little interesting setup of a dinosaur eating gnomes. Here we have a good look at the green. It's a shallow green. It does have a couple logs behind it and some fencing to help it go too far. I am up into the woods, probably about 30 to 40 feet right of here. I'm gonna have a tough time doing anything other than just a quick little chip out. Not a whole lot I could do from there, but at least I'm out of the woods. This is a much more challenging par putt. Something else to note is the basket is lower than normal. I'm guessing the basket's probably only about 2 feet off the ground. So just something else to think about on this hole. So taking a look at the left, if we look down in here, that area is quite marshy. So did not have good footing, but I'm pretty happy with how I ended up there. In the creek beyond the hole, we are not going to lose a disc in there. It has been raining pretty much all year to this point. I believe it set a record for 13 consecutive Saturdays with measurable rain, and some of it had a lot of rain. So this is just next to the bridge, and if we turn around, we can get our drop in for 4. And now to get from the basket of 2 to the tee for 3, if we cross the bridge here, With all the different paths, it's nice that it is well marked. Fairway ahead, watch for flying discs. Next tee goes to the right. So apparently that's another fairway up at the top of the hill there. So it's recommended to go this way just because, just to lessen your chance of getting hit. And I am here at roughly, I started my round at about 8:30 on a Wednesday morning. So it is, was literally nobody else in the parking lot and nobody else signed up to play today. So you do have to register to play, but you can just register online. Basically, all you need to do is give your name and your email address. You can pay online by Venmo, or you can drop cash in the box as I did. So now as we get to the crest of this hill, we have, so something to note here. If we look to our left and follow this path, we have a white tee there, and a blue tee and a gold tee here. Those are the tees for hole 15. So we'll see those a little bit later in the round. And if we continue straight, we have the tee for hole 3. Hole 3 on the blue course is a 488-foot par 4 downhill. There is quite a bit of OB here. So there's OB to the right, and there are 2 creeks that are both OB. This first one is pretty shallow and doesn't come into play that much, but the second one is typically where I would pretty much have a shot land. There's also out of bounds around the green and a couple of other areas there that we'll take a close look at. With my distance or lack thereof, I'm probably going to end up having to lay up just because of the chance of going into that second creek. I think that's short enough where it stayed in bounds. We'll take a look when we get up there. There is a drop zone from here, so if you're out of bounds off the tee from up here, you take 1 penalty stroke and play from the purple and red tees, which are on the left edge of the fairway just after it opens up, after we cross the bridge to the creek. On the bridge, looking at the first creek, we can see it's not that deep. You're not going to lose a disc in here. It's just out of bounds to try and keep you out of the soil. Here we are at the drop zone, so I made a bit of an error off the tee. The purple course plays from the purple tee to the purple basket, which is the one we can see off the tee. For all the other course configurations, we play to the red basket, which is tucked into the woods on the left side. There is a straight shot that we can see it through there if we go sort of a few trees in, just before the trees get really dense, and look under that tree that's angled off in the distance. That is where the red basket is. So it's 317 feet from here. So the idea on the tee is you really do want to cross both creeks, make a solid attempt to cross both creeks on your tee shot. The out of bounds is pretty narrow here, so we do need to be cognizant of that as well. So the drop zone is an optional drop zone off the tee. It's not required. So I'm going to move up, and instead of playing from the drop zone, I'm going to play from where my disc went out of bounds, just because it's a much easier shot, same penalty, and I'm quite a bit closer to the basket. So you're not required to go to the drop zone on out of bounds shots, but it is an option. Here we are at the second creek, and again, it's not deep enough where you're going to lose a disc. However, it is quite a bit shorter, I think, because it's more downhill than you would expect. So my disc is actually in probably about the deepest part there. I'm going to guess probably about 3 feet deep, but I can at least see the disc. Another convenient thing I will point out is if we turn to our right, where we have the tunnel for the river going underneath there, we look to our left from here, we have a disc retriever. So that is in about the perfect spot where it could be for where I threw my disc into the river. From here, it's going to require a little creativity. The best idea for me is going to be a S-shaped bend, but we'll see how we can do from here. Stay in bounds. Well, that's not what I wanted, but I may be far enough where I'm still in bounds there. I did manage to stay in bounds, so this will be for my par 4. This is a very narrow gap long of this sort of marsh area that's listed as out of bounds. It does look not nice in there, so you don't want to end up in there, which is why they have it as marked out of bounds. But I ended up just long of that. We'll see if I can make a miracle par from here or if I end up with a bogey. We will take our 5 there and move on. So from where we are here, we are right next to the purple basket. To get from the purple basket to the gold tee for hole 4, the gold tee is right here in front of us. If we turn a little further up there, just up by the bench, that is the blue and white tees. From here, we will show you how to get to the purple and red tees a little bit later. Hole 4 on the blue and white course is a 353-foot par 3, very much right to left. There is out of bounds everywhere. You do need to clear this swamp to make it in bounds. It's not that far, maybe 150 feet or so. Then the basket goes significantly to the left. The basket is in line with, of the 3 prominent white flags there, in line with the rightmost of those 3, but way off up in the distance. It is slightly uphill. There's also out of bounds left and out of bounds creek long as well. The gold basket is on the other side of that creek, but for here blue and white, we are playing to the shorter baskets. There is another optional drop zone here. If we go out of bounds, we have the option of playing from the red and purple tees, which we cannot see from here, but we'll show you shortly. Well, that was not good. So that disc is lost. I will say that there are a lot of raspberry bushes on the right side here. I spent a little bit of time looking for it, but shredded up my legs enough that I decided to stop looking, and they are very dense over there. So the swamp, you might be able to find something in, but that disc went far enough right where it's in thick stuff that's going to be impossible to find right now. So spent some time looking for it, but it is gone, which is a bummer because it's a latitude 64 river, which is there are some shots that I use that a lot for, so bummer to not have it for this round. So to get from the blue and white tees to the drop zone and red and purple tees, which we're going to play from, you go back towards the red basket for 3, take a right, and there's a nice path here. Again, these white flags are out of bounds markers, and you can get an idea of how tall this stuff is. And again, continue on, and yeah, here's an idea. If you look at these raspberry bushes and how dense they are, that's the type of stuff that is all up along the backside of the swamp there, which is where my disc is lost. So this is the area where we kind of ideally want to be. The out of bounds on the left side off the tee is for the small creek that's there, so that's why that is marked. And from here we have a better shot at the red basket, which is what we're going to. But there's a sign here for the red tee, which is where we're going. So we'll move up here and take our third shot from the drop zone and red and purple tees. So the drop zone color is orange. So if you look at the tee markers, we can see the orange on the bottom. That indicates that this is also a drop zone. Hole 4 from the drop zone, red tee and purple tee, is a 205-foot par 3. Again, I'm taking my third shot here from the drop zone, so we'll see how that works out. Unless I ace this, I'm not going to get a birdie here. We can also see the gold basket off to the right in the line of where the sunshine is out in the open field. So again, the gold tee plays this as a par 4, which I think is justifiable based on the sharp dog leg and the number of trees from where the gold tee is. Well, at least I didn't throw it right that time. Maybe a miracle putt for bogey? Nope, that's going to end up being a 5. To get from the basket of 4 to the tee for 5, if we look, we have a bridge there. Another thing to note, there is another disc retriever right by this creek here. So if you're playing gold tees or you go long, it's only about 20 feet long of the basket before you're out of bounds in the creek. But we can go over this bridge. And if we look to our right, there is the gold basket for hole 4. Again, this is another creek where, especially with the disc retriever, you're not going to lose a disc in there. It's just out of bounds and annoying, but not a real problem. So the next tee, so if we take a left off the bridge, we see the next tee sign for 5 and 12. We are going to hole 5. We can continue up this hill. And over the crest. And now we can see that we have a sign for 5 to the right. If we look to the left, that is hole 12. If we go to the top of this hill, we have to the right the tee for hole 10. Right in front of us here, we have the gold tee for hole 5. And just ahead and to the right of that, we have the gold, blue, and white tees for hole 10. And just beyond that, we have the basket for 9. And here we have the blue and white tees for hole 5.
Hole 5 is 390 feet. It's a par 3 for the blue course, par 4 for the white course. It is uphill. There is an elevated basket, and it is a dogleg to the left. We also have quite a bit of out of bounds to clear. We basically have to make it onto the plateau on the other side over to where the red and purple tees are. Note that we can see the purple tee from the basket, but all other course configurations play to the red basket, which is the elevated basket on the left side.
All right, let's see if I can do something from here. That's a good kick, and I will take a 4. Maybe I won't take a 4. Well, close. I'll take a 5. To get from the basket of 5 to the tee for 6, we continue down here. We can see we have a sign directing us to red and purple, which are just to our right, or gold and blue and white, which are to our left. It says we are playing the blue configuration. We will turn to the left and come back in here. So here we have the blue and the white to our right, and then the golds have a very narrow gap to get through out into the fairway from the golds, and it's quite a bit longer as well. Hole 6 from the blue and white tees is a 477-foot par 4 dogleg left. The basket that we can see off the tee on the right side is the purple basket. Only the purple tee plays to the purple basket, all others play to the red basket, which we cannot see from the tee. It is a dogleg left uphill, but we kind of want to get as far up and out in that field as we can. The further up we get, the shorter of a second shot we are going to have to the basket. There is out of bounds on the right, so we don't want to go too far right, but we'll see what we can do from here. Well, we'll get a good view from the purple and red tees. From here, it is 328 feet to the pin. Obviously, hitting that tree did not help the distance on my first shot. I am a little bit in front of this, but not much. We have that main gap that we need to go through, and then it's going to be an S-shaped bend. So the idea is we want to hit that going from right to left, and then have the disc go back left to right. There is a cluster of 3 large trees to the left of the main gap that we want to go through. The basket is behind that. So it's probably another 150 feet or so once we get to the crest of this hill before we get to the basket. That was still a little bit right of where I wanted to go, and obviously popped it up in the air, so hit a tree. Here we are just to the left of the purple basket, and now we can see the basket from here over the crest, down the hill, kind of through that main gap area there. So hopefully I can get this close for a shot at par. Well, that will at least leave me with a par putt. Something to note here about the green for 6, aside from the trees on the right side and the down tree, the ground does slope pretty steeply from right to left. So I have a bit of a death putt here from about 20 feet. And there may be a tree in the way, so we'll see if this works. Hooray, back on the par train. To get from the basket of 6 to the tee for 7, we want to turn around and go back up the fairway that we came from. Want to be a little bit careful of people throwing discs. And we want to take this left branch of the path. We look to our right, we could see the purple basket and the fairway for hole 6. And we can come out into the open. And if we take a right, we can see the white, red, and purple tees for hole 7. And if we go left, we will see the blue and gold tees for hole 7. Hole 7 from the blue course is a 590-foot par 4 downhill. There is out of bounds left, right, and we have a triple mando, although the height of the middle mando is probably 40 feet off the ground, so well, it says triple mando. I don't think we have to worry about going too high here. We need to go between the two electric poles holding the wires up in the basket straight ahead. So that's what kind of keeps us going in the right direction here. If you miss the Mando, there is a drop zone to the left next to where the Mandos are. And I think that's inbounds, but that's way right. All right, so the Mando we need to go through is through the two poles on the left. So let's see if I can make it through there. Nope, not even close. From there, we will take a one-shot penalty and go to the drop zone. And now we're at the drop zone for what will be my fourth shot. And long putt for 5. And we'll take the drop in for 6. To get from the basket of 7 to the tee for 8, we want to make a U-turn and come back up this way. Now these tees that we are passing here are the gold, blue, and white tees for hole 9. And actually we are going to be moving on to hole A. So we're playing the 27 hole layout. So we're going to stay left here. And we can move on here. Now, if we were playing the 18 hole layout, tournament layout, if we look to our right, we can see those are the blue tees for hole 8, but we are playing hole A on this one. Hole A is a 351-foot par 3 from the blue tees. This is an island green with a hazard and out of bounds long. So I will say that the chances of me making it to this island green are slim to none. So if I can get a 4 here, I will be happy, and a 5, I won't really be that upset. It is slightly downhill. I do have a bit of a tailwind, so there's a chance, but I have not been throwing the disc particularly well today, but we'll see how this works out. Well, that got us in front of the purple tees. So from here, we can see we have the white tees, the red tees, and the purple tees in front of us. All holes play this as an island, but we do get progressively shorter. So I know I'm in front of the purple tees, so I've got probably 100 feet to the basket or so. All right, so it is about 85 degrees and sunny here today, so I had a bit of a camera meltdown, got too hot, needed to wait it cool, so it missed a couple shots. But from the hazard, you play it where it lies, but you take a 1-stroke penalty. So got close to the basket, left myself with about a 15-foot putt for 4, which I made. So from A, we now go to the basket and play hole 8. So we want to take a right and go around this main tower for the power lines, and this is out of bounds here. And just on the other side of this, we have the blue and white tees for hole 8, and then in the woods past, we have the gold tees for hole 8. Then to get to the red and purple tees for hole 8, they are a little bit further up there. Hole 8 is 602 feet. Blue plays as a par 4, white plays as a par 5. It is a dogleg right. The basket is tucked in about 125 to 150 feet into the woods after we make the right to left turn. There is out of bounds along the right side and long. Basically, the deal is the further we can get down the fairway, the better access we are going to have to the basket, because it is a pretty sharp angle to get to the red basket. All of the tees play to the red baskets except the purple tee plays to the purple basket, which is much more accessible. Well, it looks like the camera had issues during that shot, but I kind of kept it low along the left side, not intentionally, but it made it quite a ways down. I'm going to end up pinched for my second shot, but it's not awful where it is. All right, so here I am. I'm to the left of the purple tee, but I still have a shot here. With the low ceiling, I'm thinking I'm going to try and maybe cut roll something in there to see if I can get a ways into the trees. Again, I'm not really quite sure how this is going to work out, but it's worth a shot. Again, first time here, haven't thrown a roller in a while, so we'll see what happens. Well, it hit a tree and I didn't get very far into the woods, but it made it far enough down where I don't think that's any worse than if I had just tried something more conventional. Here we are at the edge of the woods. We actually have a pretty clear shot to the red basket from here. This will be my third shot, and we can see the purple basket on the right side as well. I'd have a potentially makeable putt if I was playing to the purple basket, but I'm here in two, so I still have a shot at par for the red basket. Well, that'll be a shot at par anyway. So this is a makeable putt, though it is a death putt. The ground does drop off fairly steeply, what would be behind the basket or to the right of the basket if you are coming from the direction of play. It's probably a good 6 vertical feet down, but you're going to end up with a 20-foot plus putt coming back up the hill if I miss this. So key here is don't miss. Hooray, that's a 4 on this hole. From the basket of 8, something to note is that there's a trail down there to get to hole B and to hole C. So we're going to be playing those not right now, but after we play hole 9. So you get to hole 9, we take a right and head back out here. And move out here a bit. And right in front of us, we have the red and purple tees for hole 9. And just beyond, we have the gold, white, and blue tees for hole 9.
As you can tell from the first 9 holes, there are a lot of options for all skill levels and options to play depending on how you're feeling on any given day. I will say that even though I am a glutton for punishment and usually play the longest course configuration available, I'm glad that I did not play the gold layout. There are a few holes that are well beyond my skill level, distance, or both, even if some of the new greens have been cleaned up since I played. As a very brief preview of my overall review, like the word plethora, it means a lot that I'm going to be making at least 3 videos out of this footage from my first playthrough. This is a phenomenal property for disc golf, and I'm very much looking forward to going back and playing there again. Like the video, share, and subscribe if you want to see more of Westy Acres. Also check out my video linked here or my playlists of disc golf courses of New Hampshire and Vermont, with a list of Massachusetts to be added once I have a video for a 3rd course and publish the footage I have from another Massachusetts course.